Hey guys, this is Mr. Pizarre. This video topic is on converting fractions to decimals. So you'll notice that your note page, you have a separate sheet to take notes for each video lesson. And the first thing I want to start out with each time is the I can statement. So today, I would like you to copy this down on your notes. I can convert fractions and mixed numbers to decimals. If you want to pause the video now to write that down, that's a good idea. Remember, at any time during this, you guys can pause, rewind, whatever you need. Okay, let's get started. So, before we get into writing a fraction as a decimal, it's important to understand that all we're doing is we're rewriting something but not changing the value of it. In other words, I can't say mathematically that 1 equals 2 because it doesn't. I've changed the value of 1 when I say it's 2. But I can say that 1 times 2 is 2. So this over here, in a way, is just a different way of writing the number 2. And that's mathematically accurate because they do equal each other. So in a way, that's the same thing we're doing in this lesson, but we're figuring out how to write fractions as decimals, not changing the value, just doing it in a different way. So this would be an example problem that I want you to write down in your notes and copy it down. How do we write 1/4 as a decimal? Well, they give us, the authors of this program we're using give us kind of a hint here, and it's division. You'll notice on the right-hand side of the room, there's a little chart that says fractions decimals. And that's just a reminder. The top number, the numerator, always goes under this roadway or the house or whatever you call it. The number in the denominator position always goes outside the roadway. And this makes sense because with 1/4, we know that's less than 1 whole. And when I say whole, I don't mean holes in your pants. I mean like the whole thing, okay? This is less than a whole because it's 1 out of 4. So if we got mixed up and we decided to put 4 under the roadway and we got an answer of 4, we'd know we did something wrong because this is less than 1 and this is way more than 1. And remember, we're not changing value. We're just changing the way something looks. So if I plug this in now, 1/4, and I do the division, I know that 4 goes into 1 0 times. I show the decimal point and the 0 that was already there, but just invisible. Then I immediately put the decimal point in my answer up here in the top, okay? Now 4 goes into 10 2 times. We multiply back now. 2 times 4 is 8. I've got 2 left over. I can bring down another 0. Now I ask, how many times does 4 go to 20? 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. Remainder is 0. I want to see this problem on your note page as an example problem. And then I want you to notice this as a definition for a vocabulary word. So I'll expect you to write rational number under your vocabulary. And I'm just going to tell you what it means, and you can write it down in your own words. A rational number is any number that can be written as a fraction. It's that simple. If it can be written as a fraction, it's a rational number. I've got just another example or two for you here. Writing 1/3 as a decimal is a good example. So if I was to plug in the same process that I did before, because every fraction is just a division problem, so this is 1 divided by 3, 1 divided by 3. I do the same thing that I did in the last example, except the answer is going to come out a little different. 3 goes into 0, or excuse me, 3 goes into 1 0 times, okay? So now I know, okay, got to add the decimal point to 0, put it up in my answer. How many times does 3 go into 10? Well, it goes in there 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract, bring down. Oh, we have a 10 again. 3 goes into 10 3 times. Multiply back, subtract, bring down. And you're going to see a pattern here that the 3's will go on forever and ever and ever. We call this a repeating decimal. Just because it's repeating doesn't mean that it's not rational, because it's still written as a fraction. Therefore, it is rational. So this is a repeating decimal. The one back 1/4 was what we call a terminating decimal. These words terminating and repeating are vocabulary words, and I'm going to expect to see those under the vocabulary section of your notes. Terminating means to end. Think about the Terminator. He ended things. Actually, he ended people, which is very sad in the movies. But that's how I remember what terminating means. This right here is repeating. It goes on forever and ever. And we have a special way of writing this. Because the 3's go on forever, we put a bar just over the part that repeats. We wouldn't put a bar over the whole thing because 0 doesn't repeat, but the 3 does. Okay, one more example, and then this video is done. The last example that I want to show you, a blank slide here, is how to take a mixed number, like 1 2/3, and turn that into a decimal. In fact, I'm going to change this 1, and I'm going to change it to a 2, because I think it'll be a better example. So on your note page for this lesson, you've got 3 example problems. This is the third one, okay? You've got 3 vocabulary words: terminating, repeating decimals, and rational numbers. So this is pretty slick, though, because we know we have 2 wholes, or 2 ones. So when I'm writing this as a decimal, I just write 2 and then put my decimal point, because this 2 represents 2 ones, and that goes in the ones place. If I had 20 2/3, it would be 20 point something, because I have 20 ones, 2 10s, 0 1s, right? But that's not our example. So when you convert these mixed numbers into decimals, keep the ones the same. Then divide out the fraction part. 2 divided by 3. 3 goes into 2, 0 times. Add the decimal point in the 0. 3 goes into 20, 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. At this point, I'm going to be expecting you guys to notice right away that it will repeat forever and ever. And if you're unsure, it's okay to do a few, just to make sure. Okay? 3 goes into 20, 6 times. So I know this is going to go on. So I'd write my final answer as 2 6/10 repeating, because I only put a bar over the part that repeats. The 2 does not repeat. And so this is how I would transfer a mixed number into a decimal. Something just to keep in mind. If your answer over here is way different in value than your answer over here, or than your number over here, then you know you did something wrong. For example, if I had 12 6/10 repeating, obviously that's wrong, because this isn't even 3. So they have to be the same. They have to match in value. This is a little more than 2.5, but not quite 3. Well, so is this. So ask yourself, does my answer make sense before you leave it as your final answer? At this point, the video is coming to a close. Rewind, pause, anything that you need to get this in your brain, and then try your worksheet out. Good luck.